Welcome to Adam's Athenium. Let's take a look together through the news and records of our times as we try to shed light upon the unvarnished truth. Thanks for coming back to my Athenium, where today we're going to talk about the overturned decision of Roe v. Wade. Let's begin by looking to Wikipedia just for a quick history or summary of what the original Roe v. Wade decision meant. In 1973, a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court was made in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States generally protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion. The decision, which struck down many U.S. federal and state abortion laws, fueled an ongoing debate in the United States about whether or to what extent abortion should be legal. Well, it's been overturned. Some are celebrating, some are protesting. The question is, why was it overturned? Well, according to the Supreme Court's opinion and dissents on why they made their ruling, essentially, for a summarized opinion, they essentially said the 14th Amendment applies to all persons and that each person is entitled to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So if we break that down and really look at what that would mean and why, the Supreme Court now means to say a baby, no matter at what point in development in the mother's womb, at some point will become a viable human being, most likely, assuming no complications occur. So that baby is entitled to rights, God-given rights that come beyond the state, beyond government, beyond what you or I think or feel. They are entitled to those rights, period. If you don't like it, this might not be the right country for you, right? They also opine that just because a child is in the womb, it does not mean that you federally have a right or constitutionally have a right to make a life or death decision about what will happen to the being inside of you, as some may call it. Well, basically, so you may not have a federally guaranteed right to go have an abortion and go kill a baby. But now the power is divided down to the states. So each state can decide for themselves whether or not abortion can or should be legal, and up to what point abortions should be legal. I mean, Colorado probably won't change their laws. They're pretty far out there, pretty far left on how far into the third term they're willing to operate and have abortions. However, 26 states had trigger laws. A trigger law basically meant that should Roe v. Wade ever be overturned, these laws would almost immediately go into effect, making abortions illegal in their states. And each state had varying degrees. I mean, I know Texas, at least from what I've read so far, does not include rape or incest as a qualifying case for abortion. So it sounds like Texas has completely outlawed abortions. Now, if you live in Texas and you don't like it, there's one thing you can do. You can legally and lawfully and peacefully protest and demonstrate to the government. Let your voice be heard. Vote legally. Let your senators, your congressmen, call them. Let them know what your opinion is. That is how you change laws. That's how you change culture. And that's how you change people's minds, is peacefully, not by riotous behavior. All right, so what does this mean moving forward? It means that, sure, in places like Texas, you're not going to be able to have an abortion anymore. If you don't like it, time to pack up and go to another state, right? And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with moving. I get it. It might be hard. But you don't get to ruin everyone else's life and happiness because you're upset. If the problem is you, well, you need to fix the problem. I don't have much sympathy for you there. I get it. Moving can be hard. I've had to do it. It can be a pain in the butt, but it needs to be done, especially if you want to do what's right. And maybe that's where everything is kind of split apart. Do we even agree on what's right and what's wrong anymore? Can we come to some kind of agreement on what's right and what's wrong? Well, this is probably as close as we're going to come. So, currently there's protests taking place across the US. There's not a whole lot going on right now, seeing as it's daytime, but I've got some of the live protest coverage from Washington, D.C., where Reuters is giving live coverage. And I'm just kind of wanted to poke fun at some of the signs that I've been reading. So, one of the first signs I noticed, let me get back to it here. Give me just a second. It says bans off our bodies. BANS off our bodies. So I think the woman is trying to say that she perceives this, or the sign that she was given, they perceive that this is a ban, a federal ban on abortion, which it isn't. It's saying that the federal government was not given the power to decide this in the Constitution. And because of that, we're going to give the power to the states to decide. Okay. So, bans off our bodies. Well, right there, in the last two words, it says our bodies. So, you might not have seen it as you wrote out your ideological pogrom message. You literally said our bodies. So you're acknowledging it's more than just the woman here, that it is our, meaning more than one, our bodies. Some people don't see the silliness of their arguments, or like just how backwards their thinking is. I mean, at some point, I have to assume that if you think abortion is okay, you clearly don't understand science. You don't understand the development of a child, of a human being, right? If you understood exactly what is inside of you, and if you could comprehend what you are doing to that living entity inside of your body while having an abortion, then how could you morally be okay with it? Honestly. I'm sure I'm going to hear the arguments in the comment sections of what about rape and incest? That's a conversation to be had, and I'm willing to have it. However, we both need to have the fact understood that over 80% of women who were victims of rape or incest or both, I mean, generally incest is rape. Rape is not always incest. Over 80% of these women who had an abortion from rape or incest situations came to regret their decisions and wish that they could change it or go back or bring back the child that they had aborted. Over 80%. That's a big number. And I mean, that right there, that's willing to sway my opinion that, well, maybe Texas has it right. Maybe. I don't know everything. I don't know every study and statistic out there, but I'm here to help give you some knowledge. So that way we can have a more even ground, even footing as we try to have dialogue and debate with each other. There's another sign here. Let's see what it says. Abortion is healthcare. Healthcare, eh? All right. Well, when I think of healthcare, I think of doctors, nurses, right? And what is the oath they take? To do no further harm. Okay. Well, again, going with what the Supreme Court has ruled, that is a living being inside of you that is entitled to rights, then the doctor can do no harm to that living being inside of you who has rights. So to say that abortion is healthcare is also an ideological fallacy. It's a paradox. It does not make sense as a statement. You think you're parading around saying something so true and valid, and makes you feel vindicated and, hit your emotional sweet spot, makes you feel like you did something good. You can't even see how wrong your sign is, how misworded it is, not to mention the lack of grammar in these signs. But hey, who am I to say anything? While we keep looking out for signs, don't forget to like this video to help beat the algorithm, and share the video with anyone out there that you think needs to hear this message, or just could maybe use a good laugh from some of these signs. I make videos every week, so feel free to subscribe, and I post content regularly, and it's always changing what I post. Let's see what we've got here. Cameras are terrible. Something about paying child support. I actually heard a fairly good joke once. Whether it's in good taste or not, I'll leave that up to you, but I thought it was pretty funny. Comedian, I don't remember off the top of my head who said it, so I don't want to put anyone's name under the bus by getting this wrong, but they said, I agree with abortion insofar as like it's a woman's right to choose and that you should have that right. However, if you have the right to kill a baby, then I, as the father, have the right to abandon the comedian says, MRFer. I have the right to abandon the kid if you have the right to kill it. I think even Tom McDonald says something similar in one of his songs. Something like, we glorify women for choosing to kill a baby. What we honor and what we look up to in society, that's part of what's tearing apart our culture. We look up to killing children. I don't care what excuse you have to make for it. That's what it is. You're killing a child. We can have the arguments in the comments section all day. I'll have them all day. I'll interact with everyone here. Anyone who wants to come and chat. Oh, we got another bands off our body sign. We've got a crowd of people yelling boo and shouting down someone who's walking by. Doesn't look like this person's doing or saying anything offensive. And it looks like most of the people who are booing this singular person walking by don't even know what they're booing at or why. They're just kind of going with the crowd. I just want to point that out as I'm going to bring it up again, January 6th. People in a mob or a big crowd don't always make the best decisions. They don't always think for themselves. When there's that high of emotion and tension and just, emotional frustration in the air, people do and say stupid things. Like there's a chant going back and forth. Sounds like the men or boys that are there saying their body, their choice, and the women are chanting back, my body, my choice. Well, I'm sorry if you missed it, sweetheart, but the Supreme Court just overruled that. It's not your body. It's not your choice. As that one sign said, it's our bodies. We got another sign here in bright neon green colors. There's multiple of them. They must have been handed out by some organizers. It says, keep abortion legal. Again, I don't know if you missed the memo. It got turned down. Now, abortion's still legal in states where it's legal. If you want it to be legal, go move to those states. I mean, sure, go ahead and protest peacefully and have your voice heard in whatever state you live in, but don't demand change. Now, let's talk about this group, Jane's Revenge, I believe they're called. It's a far-left group who put out a message online not too long ago in a monotone, like an internet monotone female voice, basically calling for a night of rage, saying that if Roe v. Wade is overturned, take to the streets and cause all sorts of destruction. I don't remember the quote specifically. I'd probably get a strike on YouTube for even mentioning everything they said. But they call for a night of rage if Roe v. Wade is overturned. So we got people calling for violence. The FBI does nothing. So if there's mass riots or mass shootings that come from this, do we get to blame the FBI too? Because apparently they must know about this. They must be watching this, right? I mean, hell, they flew drones over protests in Kenosha. I would expect that if the FBI is going to do that to regular citizens, well, I would expect that in Washington, D.C., they should have drones flying, and we should be able to make sure that these peaceful protests stay peaceful. And right now they do seem to be, but then again, it's daytime. As far as I can find on YouTube and the news, I haven't found any violent riots from last night, which is good. That's a good thing. I've heard rumblings, but nothing I can verify. And then again, tonight's Saturday. Weather's at least a little bit cooler where I'm at, so maybe people are going to come out to the streets. You had Maxine Waters, what was it, just yesterday after the Supreme Court made their decision? Maxine Waters, what is she in? She Washington, D.C. representative? Anyway, Congresswoman Maxine Waters says, to hell with the Supreme Court. It wasn't too long ago. She was also telling people to get up in, I won't specifically say Trump supporters' faces, but she was calling for people to get up in faces of her political opponents, yell and scream and just be a riotous, raving lunatic, more or less. She was calling for violence, but I don't remember exactly what she said. So again, if I can't remember the specifics, and I'm on a live stream right now, I can't look it up to give you the proof, well, then I'm not going to quote it specifically or throw someone under the bus when I might be wrong, as I try to speak the truth here. Going around, there's just a lot of people wandering around, so maybe we'll wrap this up here pretty soon. Looking for any other signs of any interest. We've got a couple, looks like pro-life groups here counter-protesting, and you just got two groups holding signs, kind of a couple members in between trying to talk things out, sort of yelling at each other, but peaceful protests, people yelling, people talking, people trying to convince the other side of why they're wrong. This is healthy democracy. That's good to see. I'm glad that we're not seeing riots. I found it funny yesterday that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, could not condemn any violence. She was asked about, well, what about, Jane's Revenge promising a night of rage? And she stayed silent. They said, can you condemn any violence that may occur? Can you condemn this message of violence? She couldn't say anything. And again, Maxine Waters, more or less, again, calling for violence. So I will say, I condemn violence of any kind. By Patriot Prayer, Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, not that they're here at this rally right now, Antifa, BLM, pro-life, pro-choice, I condemn it all. Violence isn't the way to fight for your cause or get your message to be heard. Peaceful protests work. And as much as I hate to say it, civil disobedience works too. Like, I hate the idea, I can't stand the idea of people protesting in the middle of the street, blocking off traffic. Not after the riots of 2020. I don't like that idea. I'm trying to work through how I feel exactly about it, but my initial belief is that if you're protesting in the middle of a street after the riots of 2020, where people were pulled from their vehicles, savagely beaten, murdered. I mean, people weren't even pulled from their vehicles and they were murdered by riotous Antifa and BLM mobs. So I was all for making laws to make it legal to defend yourself in a vehicle in the midst of a riot or protest. I don't think it's good to allow people to block traffic. However, it's civil disobedience, right? You're blocking traffic. You should get arrested. You pay a fine. You maybe spend up to a year in jail. It's like a misdemeanor. I mean, that's also a good way to get your message across, as long as you're peaceful about it. You're just blocking traffic. Maybe you allow traffic to move at certain intervals. I'm not suggesting or advising anything. I don't like it. But I'm recognizing that peaceful or truly mostly peaceful protests have more of an effect on society, on culture, on changing people's minds. You causing $2 billion worth of damage in one summer does not change people's minds for the better. Actually, let me rephrase that because I don't know if everyone here watching this knows. We've heard the reports that over $2 billion of damage was caused in the 2020 riots by BLM and Antifa riots across the United States. So you think, oh wow, 2 billion, that's a big number. Now, what they didn't tell you is that that number is a misquote. It's not, it's an omitted truth. They didn't give you the full story. What a surprise. Shocker, I know. The full story. Lost my train of thought. Sorry. Anyway, lost my train of thought on that one. I'll get back to it. Let's get back to the signs here. We got Jesus saves. Yeah, we still just got two groups arguing with each other. Save babies. Two consenting adults, something. That one doesn't even make sense. My body, my choice again. Someone is holding up a picture of a baby at 15 weeks to show that this is in fact a baby. This is a human being. You cannot deny that this image is a human being. Maybe a graphic image to some, but it's the truth. Truth hurts, man. So I think the issue is we don't agree on where life begins. Maybe that's a morality question. Maybe that's a cultural question. My question is, how do we not understand that irregardless of the question of where life begins, how do we not comprehend that at some point in the future, this will undeniably be a human baby that is born? It may be disfigured, may have health problems, may not look exactly how you thought it was gonna, may be born dead or alive, unfortunately, The fundamental disagreement might just be, what is life and is it worth saving? And if we can agree on that, that's probably the biggest question, biggest problem that can affect a society. If you can't agree that all life is important and should be recognized equally, that every person has potential and value and unlimited possibilities. If we can't agree on that, where do we stand? What do we have in common? What common ground is there to be found at that point? I don't know. I think we all need to sit next to a mirror, sit in front of a mirror, look ourselves hard in the eyes, look deep into your soul and ask yourself that. But for now, it would seem that at least a vast portion of America, I mean, if not just Congress, would agree that life matters. Life begins in the womb. Life, whatever your leftist argument is about when life begins, this decision says at some point this will be a human being, and that person has rights. As of right now and forever. No one person gets to arbitrarily decide that they're God and that they control everything happening inside of them. You don't. Let's talk it out in the comments. Let's have a peaceful discussion. If you throw names, call names, insult people, you're going to be blocked. I will not respond to you. I don't waste my time with negative energy. If you're just coming to grab for negative attention, get out of here. If you've got good, valid points, scientific studies, data to show me, to prove to me your point of view, I'm more than welcome to the challenge, the argument, the debate, the opportunity to learn. this may not be believed by many. I know it sounds dumb and it obviously doesn't sound humble in any means, but I like to be proven wrong. I don't like to think I'm a know-it-all. I know I don't have all the information. But damn, when I talk to people, it seems as though I'm a lot smarter than the majority of the people I talk to. Again, I know I'm not. We all need to have the same common facts so we can have the same basis of understanding. We all need to agree on basic fundamental truths. And if we don't, we need to either legally change the system to where we can agree, or if you don't want to legally change the system, the problem is with you and you need to get out. That's where I'm going to conclude today's video. Tomorrow, I'm going to be trying to do another live stream, probably around this same time, if not a little bit later. And we're going to talk about the Uvalde shootings. There needs to be more discussion about it, and there needs to be accountability. So come back tomorrow for my video. We're going to do another live stream, and we'll see how long it goes for. If you like these live streams, again, please leave a thumbs up. Tell me in the comments what you think of it. If I forget my train of thought too much, please let me know. I'll try to work on that. I'll try to take better notes. I do have some notes, to kind of keep a steady storyline throughout the video. But other than that, I just kind of freehand it. I'll be honest with you. I don't like to clip and edit my videos a whole bunch and give you a fake presentation of me being a perfect speaker or knowing my opinions fully on everything. I like thinking through things in front of you. I like being able to have debates with you in the comment section. I like the fact of being challenged. So if you can prove me wrong, I would be glad. I'd be happy to have the correct facts. Again, I'm okay with being wrong. I would rather have the correct facts and work to adjust my opinion or views on things than to just be a know-it-all who's wrong about everything. Can you say the same? Anyway, I'll see you here tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for coming.